She didn't give cautiously. She gave completely. Her patience, her softness, her willingness to love someone whose walls never fully came down. And the avoidant man took every offering while his nervous system quietly classified her devotion as a threat to his independence. When the damage finally settles, when the full weight of what he did with everything she gave lands, 6 things happen that neither of them can escape. Number 1, her empathy permanently transforms into discernment. The empathy that made her give everything wasn't weakness, it was her greatest gift, and he consumed it without reciprocation until it fundamentally changed shape. She doesn't lose her capacity to feel deeply. She gains the ability to feel clearly. Her nervous system rewires itself to recognize emotional unavailability before it becomes attachment, to identify withdrawal patterns before they become identity, to understand that softness given to someone incapable of receiving it isn't love, it's sacrifice. What he hurt transforms into what protects her. The empathy that once dissolved her boundaries becomes the tool she uses to enforce them. Number 2, he discovers that guilt lives in the body, not just the mind. The avoidant man doesn't experience guilt the way emotionally available people do. It doesn't arrive as remorse-seeking repair. It arrives as physical dysregulation, as restlessness without identifiable cause, as the persistent, low-frequency anxiety of a nervous system that knows something irreversible occurred. He can intellectualize what he did, reframe it, minimize it, bury it beneath narratives about incompatibility, but the body keeps the score. The guilt settles into his chest as the weight of someone who gave completely and received strategic, emotional management in return. He doesn't reach out to apologize because his psychology interprets acknowledgement as more dangerous than the guilt itself. Subscribe to understand the deep psychological aftermath of loving someone who couldn't meet your depth. Number 3, her standards become non-negotiable. Before him, her standards were preferences. After him, they become requirements carved from the specific shape of his absence. She no longer negotiates with inconsistency, no longer extends patience to emotional unavailability, no longer mistakes potential for presence. Every standard she now holds exists because he showed her precisely what happens when those standards are compromised. He didn't just hurt her, he handed her the exact blueprint of what she will never again accept, and she builds every future connection around that blueprint with a clarity she could never have accessed without surviving him. Number 4, he becomes incapable of experiencing new connections as innocent. Every person who shows interest after her gets filtered through the psychological residue of what he did. He's aware somewhere beneath his defenses that he destroyed something rare, and that awareness corrupts his ability to receive genuine affection without suspicion. New connection feels either inadequate compared to the depth she offered, or overwhelming because it reminds him of the depth he wasted. He cannot approach intimacy with the same unconscious ease he had before her because she was the relationship that proved his avoidance has a cost he actually feels. Number 5, her grief becomes the foundation of her identity reclamation. She doesn't grieve him. She grieves the version of herself that believed love required self-erasure. The grief is a reclamation process, each wave of pain returning a piece of herself she gave away, trying to be enough for someone constitutionally unable to recognize enough. The hurt he caused becomes the excavation of who she was before she began shrinking. She emerges from the grief, not as someone who survived him, but as someone who recovered herself from the space he occupied in her psychology. Number 6, the relationship permanently alters what both of them believe love requires. She learns that love must be mutual in its vulnerability, or it is simply devotion flowing in one direction. He learns, too late, too privately, never out loud, that the love he managed from a distance was the closest he's ever come to being genuinely chosen, and that his management of it was the most expensive decision his attachment wounds ever made him pay for. Neither of them walks away the same. She walks away knowing her capacity for love is her power, not her liability. He walks away knowing he held something irreplaceable with hands trained to let go.